This is a New York-centric day because of what tomorrow means, and the Sports Hour with Alex Garrett doesn't lose sight of that. Of course, I'll have to talk a little bit about what happened last night. Tom Brady, 22nd season, 300th game, and he looks like he's 20, does he not? He doesn't look like he's in his 40s at all. But yes, Empire State of Mind, the Alicia Keys version, exactly how I want to start the show, because this weekend means so much to not only the nation, but here in the heart of New York City. Because the fact is, sports-wise, we were carried by sports after 9/11, and I'm sure tomorrow, when the Yankees play the Mets and Mike Piazza's out there, that drawing is going to feel even more so at Citi Field. Remember, after 9/11, the sports world didn't know what to do. They paused. And then all of a sudden, September 23rd, 2001, Mike Piazza's jolt not only jolted the city out of its sadness. Yes, there was sadness, but he and the spirit of that home run jolted us out of that grieving state for just one night against the Braves. And that memory will be tomorrow remembered for sure. But I gotta say, let's put sports aside for a minute, because tomorrow, wherever you were, it stuck with you, it stings you. And if I can get a little bit off sports for a minute, the fact of the matter is, these politicians should stay away from the memorials. I know it's a sports station, but obviously politics and sports have gone hand in hand, and tomorrow's a bigger than sports issue. And I think that the way we honor 9/11 is to do it through the communities of America. Remember, the first responders had to fight Congress to get funding, to get that bill, the Zadroga bill, funding again. Jon Stewart, former NYPD detective, cancer-stricken Luis Alvarez, who after he fought in Congress, died. Okay? This man died. And, by the way, this is simulcast on Alex Garrett Podcasting, which is why I'm commingling both right now. But he died after being on the Hill to testify as to, I don't know, why those who gave their lives should be given the funding, the proper funding. Why did D.C. have to be waking up? If they were asleep then, they should just sleep through tomorrow. They should just sleep through 9/11 because they had to be forced to do something for its first responders, for this country's first responders. Is that right? No. Is that acceptable? No. Is it why speeches at the 9/11 memorial by someone other than a family member of a victim of 9/11 is unacceptable? Like, no speeches should be made by politicians. I don't want to get into President Biden on this, because this isn't what this is about. It's about the fact that tomorrow, the way we honor it can be through sports. We're going to have a big college football day, but also through the community. And if these politicians want to make us beg for things that those first responders deserve and victims of 9/11 deserve, then they shouldn't even be allowed to do any commemoration in their community. That should be sealed off to the community members, to those who actually lost their lives. Now, I'm not saying politicians didn't lose family in 9/11. I mean, 3,000 people died that day. And in my next segment, sports does commingle and entangle with 9/11 personally, because I took a picture with Rod Jobert, the Ranger great, and all of a sudden, someone pointed out, you're wearing the bib at the Rangers 5K. I wore the bib of the number of firefighters lost, 343. You have to listen to that story coming up. We can heal through sports. We can heal through the names of the victims once again for the 20th anniversary. We can even heal through the Army-Navy game at MetLife Stadium. But can we just tell the politicians to stay the F away? Can we tell them that? Can we tell them that this day for family, and this weekend is for the family? But I want to add another twist, because I found this picture of a mural that said never give up. And so my message this weekend on September 11th is to never forget and never give up. Let me tell you again. Never forget and never give up on America, because this country is amazing, and the resilience of this country showed 20 years ago. 20 years later, we are divided again. And I would love the rallying around this commemoration together to last longer than the 9/11 commemoration. What we saw after 9/11 is who we are. That's who we are. We are a United States of America. Unfortunately, it took a terrorist attack to remind us of that. And it takes this anniversary every year to remind us of that. And by the way, Tom Brady last night, I was reminded they won the first Super Bowl after 9/11 in improbable fashion against the favorite Rams. Absolutely improbable fashion. But they were the first NFL team to win the Super Bowl. That was the first Super Bowl in 2002 after the 9/11 attacks. Do you remember in the NFL all the teams running out of the tunnel with the American flag? What happened to those days? I miss those days, actually. I miss the days where guys would run out of the tunnel with the American flag. Now some of them don't even come out for the national anthem. What is that? Especially this weekend, you're going to stay in for the anthem. What is that? It's garbage, okay? You must, if you're going to run out with the flag after 9/11, we are as American as we are post 9/11. Don't let the media, don't let the people distract you from that. The people that want to raise heck about anything, don't let them, and those who want to be offended by something, don't let them be distracted. The American flag is a beautiful flag. It should be run out of that tunnel. It should be flown proudly at stadiums. The national anthem should be played at stadiums everywhere this weekend. Kneeling might be a touchy subject for people, but I'll just say, stand for the national anthem. Stand for the anthem, because that is who we are. That's what unites. We stand together. We stand especially around this time. But for the politicians, I don't feel like they're united with us. So they might throw out a first pitch tomorrow or Sunday, but they aren't really. They were. I mean, in 2001, Congress did sing on the steps of the Capitol together, God Bless America. In 2001, George W. Bush, president at the time, did throw the first pitch out at Yankee Stadium in a very emotional, electric World Series following 9/11. Rudy Giuliani, the mayor, did. You know what he did? He painted the marathon lines, and then he flew out to Arizona for the Game 7 of that 2001 World Series. But he was standing tall with the people of New York City. Now look at where he is. But most importantly, the politicians of now, of today, that had to be screamed at. My goodness. Can you be any more tone deaf to what the needs of your citizens are? It took Jon Stewart, a comedian, to fight for the rights of the first responders. Does that make any sense? But then again, the private sector is doing so much to honor this weekend. And it's those people within the community, within the private sector, that we should look to truly remember today. Not politicians that we had to scrape and beg and grovel to just to get funding for heroes. Are you kidding me? So you know what, DC? Sleep in tomorrow. just stay in tomorrow. We don't need you out at Shanksville or at the D.C. Monument or, Arlington Cemetery. We don't need you anywhere near there. Because we got this. We, the community, we, the sports community, too, will honor it the way we're supposed to. And you could just sleep in. It's okay. We don't need you. All right, someone who did not sleep in is one Tom Brady. In fact, he was wide awake last night. Over 300 passing yards. And, by the way, a victory, which they had to squeak out because, one of Tampa's guys, the wide receiver in Tampa, dropped the ball at the 5-yard line. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Dallas gave him a run for the money, and Zerline was key when he needed to be. Greg Zerline, but my goodness. The storyline is and should be Tom Brady. He woke up and chose another win. Seeing the 2020 banner unveiled didn't stop him from saying, I'm done. No, he looks poised to win 100 more rings with the Cowboys. And Gronkowski, 1 year in retirement, then he looked so refreshed last year and this year. It's phenomenal. It's more than phenomenal. It's really historic what we're seeing with Tom Brady. And right now I'm wearing the Patriots 12 because, as I said, he's the first QB to win the Super Bowl since the 9/11 attacks. And, to honor America is patriotic this weekend. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's okay to talk politics and other things in some sports world because, look, politics and sports intertwine. We're seeing that every day. We're seeing the news and sports intertwine with the COVID protocols, with COVID-19 lists, with players possibly being cut because of the vaccination or non-vaccination status. And those are real things. So it'd be blind not to talk about 9/11 today, especially coming from the heart of New York City, which is where the Sports Hour with Alex Garrett's originating today. In New York City, by the way, the Mets did do their annual firehouse visits with all the different fire stations around New York City. I think that's great. And, of course, I talk about it in a little bit, but wearing 343 next to Roger Bear Ranger Great firefighters. Remember when Mark Messier donned that firefighter helmet as they were greeted by the Rangers post 9/11 at the Garden on the ice? I mean, that was special. But the other thing about tomorrow is that the Mets will be putting on their first responders cap. Now, remember, they did that in 2001. And that was pretty special. The Yankees did too. And I'm glad that Major League Baseball is allowing that to happen because of all the rules craziness. Sometimes, you have to stick to uniform. But, you can't stick to a certain protocol, especially on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So I'm glad that they will be allowed to wear the firefighter, the cap for the FDNY and the New York Police Department. Look, 20 years ago, they had run to the danger, and 20 years later, they should be respected and honored, and through their trials and tribulations as a police department, their efforts do not go unnoticed. The firefighters' efforts do not go unnoticed either. And 20 years later, we just have to stand together and keep America together. And only the community can do it, not our politicians.